your screen to the top left, there's been 10 aftershocks so far just offshore closer to Eureka, all throughout Humboldt County. One of the strongest aftershocks reported so far has now been downgraded to 4.2, but this is continuing to last throughout these communities, and they're continuing to feel those impacts just after that initial shock of a 7.0 magnitude earthquake at 10:44 this morning just offshore of Humboldt County. And you see that map to the left of your screen, widespread throughout that coastline, anywhere from southern Oregon all the way down into the Bay shoreline near San Francisco, Bodega Bay, down closer to Santa Cruz too. We're now under a tsunami warning until further notice. And when the National Weather Service does issue a tsunami warning, the first thing you need to do immediately take action. This is a dangerous situation. A tsunami could become widespread. There could be widespread flooding due to the tsunami, and that's either expected or occurring. So the National Weather Service says the dangerous coastal flooding and powerful currents are possible, and they're going to continue throughout the next several hours. And that's what we're seeing right now. Reed mentioned 12:10. That's when they said they're reported to see that really crest into the San Francisco shoreline. Liz?
And I want to make sure we get to this evacuation order out of Berkeley. We mentioned communities all across the Bay Area are impacted by this. Berkeley police issued an evacuation order for West Berkeley, warning people to stay east of 7th Street and telling folks, if you are in the tsunami zone, we have those areas up on your screen right now. Berkeley Waterfront, Tom Bates Fields, West Frontage Road, I-80 Freeway, and Aquatic Park in Berkeley. You need to move away from the shoreline. We just got this alert from the Berkeley Police Department recommending folks in that area to move away from the coastline. We're also hearing BART has shut down service in the Trans-Bay Tube due to that earthquake. They're telling folks to find a different way to get across the bay. And we're also hearing they're evacuating some trains as well. Yeah, and as we start to see the impacts of this, that's the update from the East Bay in Berkeley. We anticipate more East Bay updates, but we also want to let you know what's going on in Eureka right now. And then after that, we're going to talk about an alert, a tsunami warning now issued for San Rafael. But let's go ahead to our guest who is on the phone right now. You are in Eureka. Tell us what you're seeing so far and what kind of warnings are going out to your neighbors.
So we have a large homeless population that's out on the lowlands, and so we're evacuating them right now.
So, and we do know that many of our homeless community, unhoused community do tend to congregate in those water areas. During flooding events, we have seen tragedy after tragedy here in the Bay Area just from rising waters from that. What's the effort then to get people out, those unhoused people in those waterway areas?
Yeah, we've got officers helping move people, and it was a very rolling earthquake. I was standing on the street. It was very gentle but long. And right now we are, there's a few traffic collisions. We have a bridge that is being blocked. We're trying to get people over it. So far it doesn't look like there's too much building damage, but we are just trying to get people to higher ground.
And Laura, you're with the Eureka. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Laura.
If there is a tsunami.
Yeah, and Laura, I just want to reiterate this. If there is a tsunami warning, what are you telling people in your community to do? What are the police urging folks to do right now?
It's hard to hear you, but I'm saying just people need to get to higher ground, and we will let people know when the tsunami warning has been lifted. But it's probably going to be several hours, and we just ask people to be patient.
And are there evacuation evacuation areas that the police department or the fire department has designated in their Eureka area for folks to go yet?
I don't have those in front of me right now, but if.
Hey to everybody that's joining right now. I'm on the tsunami watch because I was actually just on my laptop, just, searching the internet and got the alert that California, we're on a tsunami watch, which is unusual for us. So for me, it was really interesting. And I have a really great view from my house where I could see the bay and like San Francisco generally. So this is usually what I can see. This is from my balcony. Of course, this isn't from today. probably from a couple of days ago because I love to capture, you know, the sunsets and everything. So the area that they're talking, so this is San Francisco, and the areas that they're talking about would be over in this area, like Pacifica. And of course, it's not giving you a full view of you know, what they're referring to, but this would be considered the Bay Area, and this would be the South Bay, San Francisco, on up to, like, you know, where you hear about where Google is, like this is across the bay over here. So this is the area that you know, that had the earthquake. Generally, we can feel it. I went online to see if you know, like Oakland Bay Area was hit. So apparently there were we could feel it here. It showed up. And I actually live on the Hayward fault line, so we do have a lot of earthquakes. But anyway, we'll go back and listen to what they're saying.
Our social media shows a map of the areas that are.
I'm getting a report that they didn't lose.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that. And speaking to social media, I'm also monitoring the neighborhood app, and you are encouraged to monitor any stream of information you can get to help your neighbor. This just came in from the city of San Rafael. So now we're going to jump up into the North Bay. They are advising all people in those coastal and bayfront areas of San Rafael to move to higher ground. Also, they say the tsunami is expected to hit up north at 12 p.m., according to the people with the city of San Rafael. The emergency management officials at Marin County have also issued an alert. They are saying Marin County's ocean and bay coastlines should expect 12 p.m. So listen, we've been telling you 12:10 p.m. for San Francisco Bay Area. Further north, up into Marin County, they are saying noon. So if you are listening to us in Marin County, especially out of Point Reyes, et cetera, up in the north, be aware that in 7 minutes, you will start to see that water crest and go higher. They are saying if you are unable to go to higher ground in Marin County, stay away from harbors, stay away from coastal and low-lying areas until further notice. And Jess, we're understanding that there are 3 levels to these tsunami warnings: a water level, an advisory level, and a warning level. We are at level 3 in that warning.
Which is the one where we need to take immediate action. Exactly. Now, the National Weather Service has issued this. It's dangerous along those coastal areas for coastal flooding and powerful currents that are definitely possible right now. Another thing to mention, too, though, is we take a look just at the earthquake aftershocks. We continue to monitor this closely, but by the numbers, what the USGS just reported is our aftershock forecast for this specific earthquake. As of now, so about a 5% chance that we'll see anything above a 6.0. As we take a look at the lower percentages, about a magnitude 4.0, where there's still about an 87% chance that we could see one throughout the next week after this. And I think that's important to note, too, because we're monitoring in live time. There's community members all throughout that coastline, closer to Eureka, Trinidad, Humboldt County, all along that coast, still feeling the aftershocks. But there's a 99% chance issued by the USGS that we will still continue to see more magnitude 3.0 earthquakes as an aftershock after we've seen the strong magnitude earthquake just off the San Andreas fault line impact those community members. And we've been seeing the community members up there send in video and live video of what it looks like right now. It was a rolling earthquake for many community members up there. We saw the aftershock still impacting them. And now the big concern has to do with the tsunami warning that's still in effect right now along our coastline, impacting all the Bay Area here in San Francisco, Oakland, along those bay shorelines, all the way from Bodega Bay down into Half Moon Bay too.
Yeah, it's important to note, Jess, on that map that you see there in that square on your screen, that includes the San Francisco Bay, which includes several communities. All right, let's start with San Francisco. We spoke to a San Francisco fire personnel, fire captain, who said if you live along those areas along the coastline, I'm talking about, you know, Ocean Beach, Outer Richmond, down by the marina, over by Soma. If you can see a bridge from where you are, chances are you need to get to higher ground. Then you go across the bridge, you're talking about Sausalito, Tiburon, the people who live in the houseboats there. And then you go all the way to Berkeley. Folks in Berkeley are being told if you live along the waterfront to move to higher ground. I believe that was 7th Street. Folks are being told to go beyond 7th Street, move away from the water. When in doubt, move away from the water if you're along those coastal communities. We're also being told schools in Pacifica and the communities along there, along the coastline.
So I wish I could show you my the cursor. I'm unable to show you the cursor, but what I am showing you is this is a view from my balcony. If you look right over, you see those. It's a picture I took a couple days ago as the sun was setting. So that area, San Francisco, you can see it looks like a cluster, like a city. You can actually see it. That is one of the areas that has been impacted, and that's the area, like they're saying Oakland, which is across the bay on my side. All of these neighboring cities have received the tsunami warning. So, and as you travel up, you can see kind of like a little tower on top of a hill. That is the area like Pacifica, South San Francisco. That is where it's been hit hard. And then further up, like Redding and those. And I would say those would be probably a couple hundred miles from here. However, we can still feel the impact of the earthquake, and we have all still been given the tsunami warning.
Are being evacuated. So bottom line is, if you live within a mile of the coastline from the beach, if you can walk to the beach, chances are it's time to move to higher ground. And we've seen on the freeways and folks, a lot of people are just trying to get away and get out of whatever area they're in.
And you're seeing a boat out there on the water, and we are seeing all up and down the coastline boats being brought in. Of course, we know there are many boats for many reasons out on our waters here in the San Francisco Bay Area. They have all been told to get in and to just stay safe. Now, let's just really talk about some news you can use right here. This punctuates the importance of two words put together that we hear all the time here in the Bay Area, and that's go bags. Make sure that you grab your go bag. If you have 2 or 3 that keep you prepared for this, get it and get to higher ground. The most important thing that you can use right now is information. So that speaks to needing to have a battery in your bag that can keep your cell phone powered. We know that our friends up in Humboldt County, they are in the dark right now. Electricity is out.
I hate to interrupt you, Reed, but hold on. My producer, Dave, just gave me this important note of information. Say that again, Dave. Okay, we just got word from the National Weather Service that the tsunami threat in the Bay Area is over. Now, we're working to confirm that, but according to my producer, the National Weather Service, Jess, you have some new information as well.
I'll read it from the National Weather Service directly. The tsunami warning is canceled for the coastal areas of both California and Oregon. They're now stating that no tsunami danger is presently in this area, here in the Bay Area. So this will be the final warning from the U.S. National Tsunami Warning Center. That's the final message issued for all of our region, all throughout the Bay, all throughout our coastline in California. We just got this update from the National Weather Service. The tsunami warning is canceled for the coastal areas of California and Oregon. Reed?
So that's not to say, though, that this is not still an important story, because we have seen communities mobilize all up and down the coastline. We've been showing you images of people on the roads, evacuating, bottlenecks of traffic. So regardless of whether that has expired.
So that's good news. We just got a notification that the Bay Area is no longer under the tsunami alert. However, that doesn't mean we won't continue to have minor little earthquakes, the little tremors that we get after a major earthquake.
For quite some time. The impacts are real.
Okay, I want to get to Ryan Yamamoto. He's in our newsroom. And Ryan, you've got some new information.
Yeah, we've been scouring through social media, looking for different videos of the damage, especially up in Northern California. So we're getting our first look at some of the damage. We've been showing it to you earlier, but let me give you some context of what we're looking at. The first video, this is from the Victoria Inn in Ferndale. You can see that door has collapsed, the glass is shattered, all the bar items and the drinks and the liquor, that has all fallen down. This is in Ferndale. This was built in 1886. It's called the Victorian Inn. It's about 20 miles south of Eureka. We also have some more damage out of the Ferndale area. This is one ex-user posting video from her home and around town. This, of course, is inside a grocery store. So you can see a lot of things were coming down from the shelves. But, of course, up in Northern California, in that part of the state, we're near the epicenter. I mean, they really felt this 7.0 earthquake. Also, this is footage of damage from a shop smart. This is in Redway in Humboldt County. This was actually taken by the fire chief up there. You can see all the cans and all the goods have come down off the shelves. So you can only imagine what that earthquake must have felt like as that shaking was happening of a 7.0 earthquake. And here's some video inside a grocery store in the city of Davis. They felt the shaking all the way there. We felt the shaking as far as close as City Hall, but some of the lights there are kind of swaying back and forth. So they definitely felt the shaking of that 7.0, even though they're about, 350 miles from the earthquake's epicenter. And then this is a picture of the traffic from Half Moon Bay on Highway 92. We had that chopper shot earlier, but those are the people heading out of the peninsula to get to higher ground. Of course, that tsunami warning has now been taken away and is now been canceled. But as you mentioned, Reed, this is definitely having an impact on a lot of people out there. But some more damage of some of the different areas, the grocery stores and businesses up in Northern California that definitely felt the shaking because they were so close to that epicenter of a 7.0. We're working to get more video and more information coming out of Northern California, but we'll keep you updated. But as you can see, if you were up in Northern California, you definitely felt it, and you definitely experienced some damage from that earthquake.
Yeah, we spoke to a couple people who live up there, Ryan, and they described it as sort of this rolling sensation. And, I've lived in California my whole life, and we know a lot of people up there have lived there too, and they've felt earthquakes, but it doesn't matter. Every single time you feel one, it is shocking.
Oh, yeah, there's that moment, right, where you just kind of stop and you pause. You and I were in the studio for the news show during, I think it was only like a 4.5, and you and I both, we froze and we looked at each other and then we looked up, and I remember watching the lights above us just swaying back and forth. And so it is an eerie feeling when you feel that. And, I was here during normal.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Lana Zach. We continue to follow this breaking news out of California. Some good news, though. A tsunami warning has been canceled following that 7.0 magnitude earthquake off of the state's northern coast. That earthquake struck 235 miles northwest of San Francisco. That was about 60 miles from Ferndale. Large waves are still being reported in the area, and officials have ordered evacuations in some areas. They're urging people, of course, to get to higher land and to avoid the coastline, even though that tsunami warning has at this point now been canceled. CBS News correspondent Carter Evans joins us from Los Angeles. Carter, this, even for California, a 7.0 magnitude earthquake, that's a big one. And when we're talking just 60 miles off of California's coast, that's pretty close. Talk to us, give us some context for understanding.
Conditions were right. When I heard about a 7.0 magnitude, less than 60 miles off the coast, I immediately thought tsunami. And you've got a little time to prepare because the waves are going to take a little while to get to shore, generally traveling around 30 to 40 miles per hour through the ocean. That's how they can essentially time when they think the waves are going to hit. And that is ultimately probably how they were able to cancel this warning, too. The time when they expected the waves to hit based on when the earthquake struck passed and the tsunami did not materialize. And so that is certainly good news. But you're right, this was a big one. Conditions were right for it, just off the coast. And think about the Bay Area, too. So many low-lying areas there. So it's not just along the coast that was concerned. It's along all those waterways on the inland as well, all those homes in Marin County that are down close to the water. Those are big, big concerns. So this was a massive effort to get people away from the water's edge, away from the ocean as fast as possible.
Yes, and Carter, it was interesting watching our colleagues over at KPIX as they were following the people who were still out on the beaches and seeing those helicopter shots. As you can see, it's right there, of people who are still out there because this happened so quickly. It was so close to land. If there was, in fact, a tsunami, we're talking about minutes, not hours. I understand that those evacuation efforts, they were undertaken. Do you know, now that the tsunami warning has been canceled, are officials telling people that they can go back in? Are we just in sort of a period of confusion at this point? What's
confusion right now, but since since NOAA basically has canceled this tsunami warning, I think it is safe for people to go back. But, you know, like you, I saw the video from the helicopter. There are surfers in the water, and I thought, do they even know there is a tsunami warning right now? You know, there's no communication with them out there. They may not even have any idea. And then you do get some looky-loos that will go down to the beach and try and see if they can see it. Now, one of the clear signs that a tsunami is about to occur is often the water.
So this is basically, I'm over in the Bay Area where that little red dot is. And as you can see, Sacramento and then Humboldt County, that is where like the epicenter is around there. So we're approximately almost 300 miles from there. But with the earthquake, the magnitude of a 7, I think it was like a 6.6 to a 7.0, we definitely felt it in neighboring cities. And so they're talking about like the areas that were hardest impacted and hit. I didn't feel it. I just got the warning, the tsunami warning for the Bay Area. So it was kind of interesting because we generally don't get those. And as I showed a picture earlier, I'll show that picture. I don't have a picture that I usually can look from my balcony to see San Francisco and, you know, those areas, Pacifica, because it's right over the bay for me. So I get a pretty good view of everything. It's really beautiful. It's a beautiful view. But today it's pretty hazy. I can't even see the ships or the boats that are out on the bay. So I'm going to show that again so you can kind of see what my frame of reference is. Let's see here. Again, like I said, this is from my balcony, and this is a couple of days ago in the evening, but you can look right over the bay, right across the water is the area that all of the activity in, and it's further north. So if you see the San Francisco, you can kind of see the little city area there. Well, it's probably maybe about 150 miles, maybe 200 miles or more from that area there. So that's what they're referring to. And all the coastal areas. Fortunately, I'm not that low, but still, you know, everybody got the warning.
3.9 earthquake, a 5.0 earthquake, and that's just offshore where you see Rio Del right there on the map, Garberville. Those are the communities we continue to keep a close eye on right now.
And one of those communities that really acted swiftly, especially when that tsunami warning happened, was in Pacifica, and our very own Gianna Franco is in that area right now. Gianna, do we have you on the phone?
Yeah, hi. Hey,
hi. Oh, thank goodness this tsunami threat now passed after that earthquake. Folks are, in theory, being allowed back into their homes. What are you hearing?
Yeah, you know, it's where we came, we first evacuated up to Roberts Road, and then we went further back in the valley to an area where it's near Cresty and Fassler. And I have like a really good view of Highway 1, and I can see part of the ocean. I'm watching flashing lights leaving Highway 1. So my guess is at some point they have some sort of something set up to sort of let people know, to get out of the area or to be safe. Right. But they clearly cleared that. And they did cancel school for the rest of the day, I think, just to play it safe. Sure. But most of the residents here, lived in the lower Lindemar area that came up to this area. I spoke to a guy named Ted who's been in Pacifica for 50 years. And, he and I both went through the 2011 tsunami warning that happened in this area that was triggered by the earthquake in Japan. So this one seemed a little bit more, a little scarier because, in the middle of the day, kids were at school and, they evacuated the schools pretty quickly, at least the ones that were in the lower lying areas. But it sounds like things have settled. I'm seeing a lot of the cars leaving now from where we are.
Right. And Gianna, I made this point earlier. The tsunami warning may have been lifted. So now the focus is on aftershocks, and we're watching the people closer to where the epicenter of this was. But there's also a story that affects hundreds of thousands of people from the Oregon coastline all the way down into the California coast. And that is exactly what you have found yourself caught up in. And that's going to be traffic jams throughout the day, interruptions in transit service, the need to check on your neighbor. This will be a story that will have lasting impacts throughout the day, which probably speaks, Gianna, to why schools are just canceled where you are in Pacifica.
Yeah, one of the reasons why we left the area we were at originally on Roberts Road is because it started to get so crowded with so many vehicles. People were making illegal U-turns, and I could just see the traffic backing up. And I just had that thought. It's, I've got me, my kids, my mom, our animals with us. I did not want to be stuck in any sort of backup or issue, especially if there was a need to evacuate even further back.
And I'm curious, sorry, go ahead, Gianna. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
You are seeing that. You are seeing that. My stepson is on that road right now, and he's texting me, telling me it's kind of a madhouse.
Yeah, everybody's kind of relieved that the tsunami threat has passed, but now they're just trying to get back home. I'm curious, Gianna, you work in the news business, so you're very connected to what's going on at all times. But I'm thinking about the folks that aren't necessarily always connected to the news that's happening right now. They're not on their Twitter. They're not necessarily looking at their phones all the time. How was the community around you notified that it was time to get to higher ground and get out of that neighborhood? Were there calls? Were there specific warnings to your neighborhood?
Well, for us personally, we got the alerts on our cell phones. And then, when I walked outside with my family, I could, chatting with neighbors. They also got alerts. My elderly neighbor next door, she says, she does have a cell phone, but obviously I went and checked on her first to make sure she was being evacuated. I think for the most part, people got the cell phone alerts, and we got them pretty quickly. We did not. I did not hear the sirens. We have a warning every Wednesday that goes off to kind of test the sirens. I did not hear those go off today. Maybe I tuned them out because I was so busy getting my kids out the door. But that is something I think that typically happens when there is some sort of warning.
Right.
But I did not hear that. My alert was via my cell phone.
And we know we have a lot of people watching all over the world. We're streaming, and we just want to update people if you're just now logging on or tuning in. A 7.0 magnitude earthquake hit, and you can see right there where the epicenter was. It bounced back and forth, ladies, between 7.0 and 7.3. That quickly turned into what was blaring alarms on all of our phones here in San Francisco, down in the financial district, saying, tsunami alert, get to higher ground. And so that has been our life and the life of hundreds of thousands of people all up and down the Oregon and California coastline, grabbing our go bags and tuning in to information streams and making sure that we can do what these people are doing, which is get away at least 100 feet above water. So if you're just now tuning in, that's sort of the arc of this story. Jess was able to just tell us a moment ago that the tsunami alert has been lifted. Jess, any idea as to why that was lifted so quickly? It really made a lot of people get out on the roads and start to evacuate.
Stretched all the way down into Santa Cruz. We were watching the traffic get crazy along those shorelines as people were preparing for the worst. And the National Weather Service did report that around 12:10, that's the time right now, 12:10, we were expected to see some of those strongest waves near San Francisco. But as this continues to develop, mind you, it was originally a 6.0 reported, then a 7.0, then a 7.3, then back down to a 7.0. This is changing, and first responders are continuing to keep a close eye on that. The USGS continuing to monitor and update, and the National Weather Service is trying their hardest to keep you updated as soon as possible. I also want to mention, too, I was planning on flying with the National Guard today. All those aircraft are now put on standby. I just got this from my commander. All those aircraft for the National Guard here in Northern California are on standby just in case they need to do any response today up in Humboldt County. So not only is it government officials, of course, we're also continuing to keep a close eye on military officials, and just along our Northern California first responders, those are those community members that are ready to go in case there's anything else. But you see that map right there, all those aftershocks. Over 10 have been reported so far.